He was just an average boy at school, but when he discovers a mysterious cube, he awakens a leveling system that grants him abilities and allows him to become stronger. The story begins with a girl named Shin, as she gets a call telling her she's in danger. The room suddenly goes dark, and there are men that appear, so she makes a run for it. She tries to hide in a closet, and the men start breaking down the door, but the man from the phone suddenly appears, and he teleports her away. We meet Jin, as he carries her while running, but one of the men chasing them fires his gun. Shin is knocked out, so he sets a watch in her hand, and he goes to deal with the men. They're no match for him, but one of them manages to grab him, so he flies up into the air and throws him away. They continue their fight in midair, but Jin smashes them into a building. We see that he was able to take them out, but he realizes that one of them is still standing, and the man decides to go all out. He lifts an entire building and throws it at Jin, but he easily cuts it into pieces and turns it into a cube. He attacks the man with the cube, causing a huge explosion, but the man wonders how he's still alive. He tries to shoot Jin, but his gun doesn't work, and Jin tells him he can't do anything when he's there. He starts drowning, and as time begins to rewind, Jin wishes there could be a different outcome to the cycle. Shin wakes up at school, where a boy asks her for help with a problem, so she decides to help him. After that, she goes to a club with her friends, where she loses at a game, so she needs to answer a question as punishment. They ask her to tell them who she likes, but they see a boy named Wong blushing, so they wonder if he thinks she likes him. So he becomes flustered, and explains that he's known Shin ever since they were kids, but he thinks she just likes him as a friend. One of the guys notes that girls will never like him, since Wong isn't handsome like him, but everyone thinks the boy is delusional. They pressure Shin to answer the question, and everyone is shocked when she reveals that she actually likes Wong. She assures them she isn't joking, and she mentions that she's had a thing for him since they were in elementary school, but he can't believe she's confessing to him. But after the party, Wong is beaten up by a gang for stealing Shen from their leader named Sun. Wong tries to calm them down, but they have no interest in hearing him out, and they plan to feed him to the fishes. Sun calls Shen from Wong's phone, which makes her worried about him, and Sun shows her how they're beating him up. Sun asks him who he thinks should be with her, and he tells him to think about his answer, because it's a matter of life and death. But he notes that Sun will never be good enough for her, and he headbutts the guy who's holding him. He falls into the river, and they're all shocked by what happened, telling him to come back up, but he doesn't respond, so they think he's going to die. He starts to drown, but he thinks there's no point in being alive if he can't protect the one he loves. We go back to when Wong was a kid, and as he runs away from school, everyone laughs at him for being a coward. He sits in the rain outside the school, but when Shin sees him, she offers to walk home with him since he forgot his umbrella. He notes that he'll just go after the rain stops, but she notices that his arm is bleeding, so she starts patching it up, and he's surprised at how gentle she is. Back in the present, Wong sees a cube in the river, and as he picks it up, it suddenly enters his body. He's teleported to a mysterious place, which makes him wonder if he's been kidnapped by aliens. But he hears a voice from the cube, telling him he can make a teleportation circle within a radius of 15 meters around it. He's teleported to where Sun and the others are looking for him, and he sees that he's in the sky, so he thinks he's about to fall to his death, but he realizes he's flying. He's suddenly teleported again to a classroom, where the cube tells him someone's coming, so he quickly hides, and the guard wonders why the floor is wet. Wong returns home, and he gets a call from Shin, who starts crying since she thought he was dead. So he tells her that he swam up when no one was looking, and he laughs at how Sun is still searching for him. She thinks they should call the police, but he just tells her to rest, since a lot has happened. He hangs up the phone, and knows no one will believe him even if he told them the truth, so he just wants to keep Shen away from everything. Wong suddenly hears the cube's voice again, and it tells him it's present inside his body. He's transported to the mysterious place once again, where the cube tells him it made a connection with him through physical contact, so he's been appointed as its user. He wonders where he's standing, so the cube explains that its appearance in the macroscopic physical world is a small cube, but its interior is actually enormous. He suddenly starts flying, and he asks the cube why it saved him, so it reveals that it's to fulfill his wish and make him the king of the world. Wong is teleported to a roof, where he's scared that he might fall off, and the cube tells him that his remaining energy is about to run out, so he needs to wait a minute before he can teleport again. He wonders how he can control where to teleport, because he feels like he's about to fall to his death every time the power activates, so the cube tells him to use his core to see instead of his eyes, telling him he'll be able to sense everything within a 15-meter radius. He puts the theory to the test, and he's surprised that he can really see everything, but he becomes scared when he sees a cat looking back at him. Wong suddenly becomes tired, so the cube tells him that if he keeps using his sensory abilities in teleportation, he'll run out of energy. He falls unconscious, and as he wakes up in his bed, he's surprised to see the cube right beside him. It notes that if it keeps staying in his body, it will continue consuming his energy, and it reveals that it will disappear if he dies while it's inside him. So when he's low on energy, the best option for it is to be outside his body. Wong tries to search the internet to learn about the cube, but he doesn't find anything. He gets a message from Shen, asking him to have lunch with her, which makes him happy. But when he remembers Sun and his gang, he vows to never let them harass her again. He wonders how he can get stronger, so the cube reveals that the system comes with an automatic upgrade function, telling him he will get stronger if he absorbs stones. He's surprised that even simple stones can make him powerful, but the cube mentions that he needs specific gems to unleash his fundamental abilities. The cube finds a gem in the garden, so he grabs a shovel and teleports to it. He tells the cube that he has no wish to become the king of the world, and explains that he only wants to protect Shen. But it notes that the world isn't a simple place, so to fulfill his wish, he needs to become stronger than everyone else. He wonders where the gem is, so the cube tells him to use his detection, and he manages to find it. He thinks it isn't that special, and he has no idea what to do next, so the cube tells him to put it inside its body. As it eats the gem, Wong feels himself getting stronger, and the cube mentions that 2 points have been added to his strength, and 1 point has been added to his endurance. It notes that the modifications are following his DNA, so he'll quickly get stronger and become the king of the world. The next day, Wong is late for school, so he rushes to his classroom, where Shen yells at him for hanging up on her. Sun arrives with his gang, and Shen wonders what he's doing there, but Wong tells her to go back to her seat. As they approach Wong, he asks the cube if he can handle them, so it explains that he can easily defeat them because his combat power is at 22, while their average is only 5. Shen tells Sun to leave them alone, but he calls Wong a coward, since he's using her as a shield. She stands up for him, but he apologizes for troubling her, and tells her he will handle it. Sun grabs onto him, asking him why he's talking back, but he easily grabs his hand, and Sun can't believe how strong he is. He warns Sun not to disturb them again, or he won't be responsible for what happens next. The teacher arrives, and Sun tells Wong that if he wants to keep Shen out of their fight, he needs to see him after class. As Sun leaves, Shen wonders what he whispered, but Wong lies and tells her he promised he would leave them alone. After that, Wong goes to meet Sun, who tells him he let him escape before, but he won't let him get away again. He notes that he's a reasonable guy, so if Wong apologizes and agrees to never see Shen again, he'll immediately be forgiven. But he mocks Sun, telling him he's afraid to fight alone. One of the men named Chan steps up to fight him, but the cube tells him that Chan's combat power is only 10, so he isn't worried. He starts attacking Wong, who dodges all of his attacks, and the cube mentions that Chan has already used half of his energy, so he should just wait for the right moment and deliver the finishing blow. Chan continues attacking, but Wong grabs his leg and punches him in the face. He throws him into a wall, which shocks everyone, but Sun starts laughing because his gang has defeated people like Wong before. They all prepare to attack him at once, and the cube tells Wong that he only has a 30% chance of winning. They start attacking Wong, and one of them manages to land a hit on him, but he kicks him in the nuts and sends him flying. Sun knows that if they don't deal with him immediately, he'll be a problem for them in the future, so he orders his men to attack together. Wong takes them on, but one of them manages to grab him, while another kicks him away. He gets back up and struggles to defend himself, but he manages to grab one of them and throws him at Sun. He sees Wong beating up his men, so he starts to get scared, realizing Wong is a monster. He goes towards Sun, and the cube tells him he doesn't have the energy left to fight, but he knows that he needs to take the chance to suppress him. The boss of the South City gang named Huan arrives, and he's disappointed that the North City gang couldn't defeat a single person. He calls Sun a rookie, telling him he should be ashamed to call himself the boss of the North City, but Wong interrupts them, and he notes that he doesn't care about the fight between them, but they shouldn't have involved Shen. Huan tells his men to attack, and the cube advises him to run away, because he can't win in a head-on fight. As they rush at him, he teleports to the main switch and turns off the lights. He uses the darkness to his advantage, and as one of them turns the light back on, he's shocked to see that Wong has already defeated everyone. The school administrators arrive with Shen, but they struggle to open the door, and Sun tries to run away. But Wong teleports in front of him, so he begs Wong to spare him, promising not to bother them again. Wong accepts his apology, but under the condition that he confesses and turns over a new leaf. As the administrators open the door, Wong acts like he's being beaten by Sun, and Sun tells everyone he fought with Huan's gang, but Wong accidentally got involved. After that, Wong knows that he needs to absorb more gems to get stronger, so he goes around the city to look for them. But most of them are expensive, and he can't afford them, so he goes into the wild, hoping to find gems that don't belong to anyone. He quickly becomes annoyed, because most of the gems he finds are in places he can't reach, but the cube notes that it has detected an underground area with a strong gem presence. He tries to teleport there, but he's shocked when he fails, so the cube tells him he can't teleport to a completely sealed space. It notes that he needs a crack of at least 1 centimeter to teleport, so he uses his detection to look for a crack, and teleports to the cave. He wonders why it's wet, and as he keeps walking forward, he freaks out as he sees something moving, but he realizes it's just a frog. The cube tells him the gems are in front of him, but he's surprised because it's a dead end. He suddenly feels wind, so he realizes there must be an exit, and he sees a hole. He uses it to teleport to the other side of the wall, where a huge snake is about to eat him, but he teleports away at the last moment. He sees a small platform near the gems, and he knows that if he teleports there, he'll fall to his death, so he decides to go down and climb up slowly. The snake keeps following him, and it's about to attack, but he teleports away once again. He ties a rope to a rock, and the cube tells him there are 12 gems in the area, so he cries tears of joy. He starts breaking the gems, but one of them falls down the pit, so he uses his detection to sense what's down there. He's shocked when he senses the snake behind him, and as it attacks him, he falls off the rock. The snake jumps after him, but it falls into the water while he's saved by the rope. But he also falls after the rope breaks, and he tries to fight off the snake with his shovel, but it wraps itself around him. He tries to go inside the cube, but it tells him he can't go inside with any living thing that weighs more than half his weight. He stabs the snake with his shovel, so it lets him go, and he quickly goes inside the cube. He tells the cube to absorb the gems, but it reveals that 3 of them can be combined to make a higher level one. It explains that there are 3 types of gems, with the basic ones only increasing his abilities slightly, while the advanced ones have a greater effect on his attributes. So he decides to make the advanced gems, but he's shocked as the cube mentions that it will take 100 hours. It tells him he has 11 gems, so he can choose 9 to merge together, and directly absorb the remaining 2. He decides to listen to the cube's advice, and after it absorbs the 2 gems, he returns to fight the snake, and he easily overpowers it with his new abilities. Meanwhile, Sun and Huan drink at a bar, and Huan notes that he needs to get revenge on Wong, but Sun reminds him that they can't defeat him even if they work together. So Huan mentions that they don't need to face him on their own, and he tells Sun that a man named Luo has come back. He reveals that Luo had to leave because of Jin, and he thinks they can trick him into killing Wong for them. Wong meets with Shen, who thinks he has turned into a different person. He grabs her hand, and tells her he'll always protect her, but she doesn't want him to burden himself with everything, so he notes that they'll face their problems together. They spend the day with each other, and as they go to a cafe, Shen starts playing a game with him. She hides a candy in one of her hands, but he correctly guesses it every time, because he can see it using his detection. She doesn't understand how he does it, so he notes that when she hides something in her hand, she holds her elbow closer to her body. But she can feel that he isn't telling her everything, and as they're about to leave, he gives her a gem he found in the cave. The next day, Wong is worried when Shen doesn't pick up his calls, and he thinks she might have overslept. But he hears people talking about how something bad happened in the building where she lives, so he rushes to check it out, but he realizes that the place has been closed off by the police. He hears a woman telling the police that Shen has gone missing, and he sees Sun lurking around, so he follows him into an alley. He punches a wall as he threatens him, so Sun agrees to tell him everything. Meanwhile, we see Luo hitting golf balls from Huan's face, as he notes how he hates being lied to, but he'll still take any chance he gets to take down Jin. We see that he's the one who kidnapped Shen, and he asks her about Jin, but she has no idea who he's talking about. He thinks she's lying, because Jin fought the organization of extraordinary men just to save her. He goes to hit her, but a man named Yua stops him, because even if she doesn't know who Jin is, it seems he cares about her. Luo mentions that it's the reason he's using her as bait, but Yua wonders why Jin hasn't come to save her. He thinks she might know how to defeat Jin, and he notes that even if Jin comes, they have no way of beating him. Luo mentions that he's learned from several masters, but Yua notes that they don't know the source of Jin's power, so they should keep Shen alive and use her to make him surrender. Luo decides to listen to him, and after he leaves, Yua tells Shen to behave, because he won't be able to save her a second time. In the alley, Wong is shocked to find out that Luo has kidnapped Shen, and Sun tells him a story about how Luo once beat up a young master, whose uncle came with his men to confront him. But the moment he saw Luo, he dropped to his knees and apologized because of Luo's influence. Wong wonders how Jin is related to Shen, so Sun reminds him of the incident that happened with Shen when they were kids, telling him the man who saved her at that time was Jin. He mentions that no one knows where to find him, and when he finally reappeared, he broke 2 of Luo's fingers. The Yin family put a bounty on him to avenge Luo, but they couldn't find him. They eventually abandoned Luo, and ever since that moment, He's been looking for clues to find Jin. Wong realizes that the reason Shen was kidnapped is because Huan lied to Luo about her connection with Jin. Sun mentions that he was planning to work with Huan, but he decided to quit because Luo isn't someone he can deal with. Wong still decides to save Shin, which shocks Sun, but he tells him to call the police and tell them everything. Wong arrives outside the building where Shen is being held, and the cube confirms that she's inside, since it can detect the gem he gave her. Meanwhile, Luo asks Yua if he thinks they can defeat Jin, and Yua mentions that with the help of Master Chu and the Million Martial Arts Alliance, they will at least be able to injure him. Shu uses a puppet to tell them he isn't just someone they hired to fight, because he's there for revenge as well, and Luo notes that he'll do anything to kill Jin. The cube detects 7 powerful energy waves in the building, and Wong wonders if the advanced gems have been completely synthesized, but the cube mentions that it will take 30 minutes. One of Luo's men named Pablo sees Wong and reports it to Luo, who thinks Wong is a nobody, so he tells his men to get rid of him. Wong comes across a locked door, and he prepares to break it open, but Pablo stops him, warning him that there's a superpower barrier around the door. So he'll only hurt himself if he tries to break it, and the cube mentions that Pablo's combat power is 52, while Wong is only at 50. He tells Pablo he's trying to save someone, and Pablo mentions that his order is to kill anyone who tries to go upstairs, but Wong refuses to back down. As they prepare to fight, Luo shows Shen their live feed, and he wonders how long Wong will be able to survive. Wong kicks Pablo in the face, but it has no effect, and they start attacking each other. Wong manages to land a hit, but he grabs his arm and smashes him to the ground. He tries to stomp on Wong's face, but he manages to move just in time. Pablo is impressed by how strong he is, but he still thinks he's a rookie compared to him. They continue fighting, and Wong sends him flying into a wall, which makes him angry. But Wong suddenly pulls out a hammer and uses it to knock Pablo out. He takes his key and opens the door, but as he moves forward, a man named Chad throws a knife at him. He manages to dodge it, but Chad kicks him in the face, and he almost falls off the stairs. Chad is surprised that someone so weak was able to beat Pablo, and Wong promises to make him pay for attacking him, but he goes to the next floor and tells him he'll be waiting. Wong pulls himself up, but he's shocked when the cube tells him that Chad's combat power is 75. He still rushes to the next floor, where he comes across a dark room and realizes that Chad plans to attack him from the shadows. He throws his knife at Wong, who manages to dodge it, but Chad uses his powers to make it return. Wong dodges it again and kicks him away, but he disappears into the shadows. He thinks about how he's been training in the dark ever since he was a child, which has given him the ability to locate things by sound, so no one can defeat him in the dark. He rushes towards Wong, but he just gets slapped in the face, so he wonders if his presence wasn't completely hidden. He starts moving with ridiculous speed, and tries to land an attack, but Wong summons a bat and hits him in the balls to defeat him. Meanwhile, we meet a man named Stone, as he tells his companion Koi that Wong has defeated Chad. He thinks Wong will be eliminated by Wolf, but she's excited to fight him if he manages to survive. Wong runs into Wolf, and he immediately tries to hit him with his bat, but Wolf blocks the attack and slams him to the ground. He starts choking Wong out, while the cube tells him that the advanced gems will be formed in 1 minute. So he summons a knife and tries to hit Wolf, but he blocks it and plans to punish him for fighting dirty. He manages to get out of the chokehold and punches Wolf in the stomach, but it only hurts his own hand. He dodges Wolf's attack, but he can't believe the floor was destroyed, and Wolf continues to chase after him, so he tries to fight back, but Wolf just grabs his leg and slams him down. Wolf breaks his arm and finishes him off with a punch that completely blows him away. But the gems are finally complete, and Wong gets back up like nothing happened. Wolf is impressed he can still stand, and he rushes forward, but Wong suddenly hits him with a barrage of punches. But he coughs up blood, and the cube reveals that the system is trying to expel toxins from his body. Wolf uses the opportunity to attack, but Wong hits him first and brings him to his knees. He can't believe how strong Wong is, and he mentions how Wolf was enjoying himself earlier, but he notes that it's now his turn. He smashes Wolf in the face, which blows him through a door and knocks him out cold. Luo becomes angry, since the men he hired couldn't even beat a single person, but Yua assures him that Wong will soon be defeated. He mentions that Koi came there with a restriction bracelet, and when she takes it off, it will be better if they just leave the building. Wong struggles to climb the stairs, and he wonders what the combat power of the next enemy is, but the cube isn't able to calculate it. He continues to move forward, but the cube tells him to stay calm, because his psychological readings are off the charts. But he notes that he's nervous, because he doesn't know how strong his next opponent is. He reaches the next floor, and sees Stone and Koi waiting for him. Koi suddenly uses a device to scan him, and she's surprised to see that he isn't a superhuman. She becomes excited when she realizes he's a body refiner and thinks he can help her improve her abilities. She introduces herself and shakes his hand, but she suddenly punches him in the face. He punches her back, but instead of getting angry, she's excited to see how pure his energy is. He thinks she's a pervert, so he tells her to get away, but she hits him with a barrage of punches. She kicks him into a wall, and Stone tells him to accept that he's no match for her. He decides to fight her seriously and punches her in the face, but she's happy that he's hitting her and asks him to do it harder. She kicks him away, but as she's about to rush at him, Stone stops her and tells her to calm down. He notes that she shouldn't activate her powers, but she knows that she needs to get stronger so that they can live freely. She scratches Wong's arm with her claw and starts licking his blood, so he takes out a metal pipe to fight her, but she sends him flying into a wall, which makes him realize he will die if he doesn't focus. He tries to hit her with the pipe, but she jumps onto his back and bites his shoulder. Stone sees her losing control, so he hits her with a needle, which makes her return to normal, but he wonders how pure Wong's blood is, because Koi leveled up by just licking it once. Stone hits Wong with a wind attack, and he knows he needs to end the fight quickly, because Koi doesn't have much time left. He tries attacking Wong again, but Wong manages to dodge it thanks to the cube's instructions. Stone sees that Koi is starting to lose control again, so he looks after her and decides to let Wong go. Wong wonders if he's admitting defeat, but he notes that he'll never give up because he's from the Million Alliance. Wong thinks they might attack him once she recovers, so he notes that their fight isn't over. Stone realizes he has no choice, so he takes out a 1,000,000 coin and makes a blood oath that if he goes back on his word, he will turn to dust. After Wong leaves, Stone tells a girl named Misha that their mission has been suspended because something happened to Koi, but she suddenly gets attacked. Meanwhile, Luo wonders where Chu is going, and he's shocked when Chu mentions that all the assassins have been defeated. He thinks Jin must have come there, but Chu notes that he has found a more interesting target. Yua notes that the Million Alliance has made a truce with Wong, so it's best to evacuate, but Luo refuses to leave. Chu starts walking away, and Luo offers him triple the money to take care of Wong, but he attacks Luo, telling him not to use money to order him around. Wong breaks through to the next floor, and he thinks only 2 enemies are left, because when he arrived at the building, the cube told him there were 7 people there. But it mentions that one of them has suddenly disappeared, so he only has 1 enemy remaining. Chu appears and introduces himself, and Wong is shocked as the cube tells him his combat power is 7, but the interior of his puppet is complex, and it has an intermediate gem inside it. Chu kicks Wong and sends him flying, and he can't believe what just happened. Chu thinks they're destined to be rivals, because while Wong relies on brute strength, he depends on his techniques. Wong throws bottles at him, but he breaks all of them before they can hit him, and he kicks Wong away. Wong charges back in, but Chu dodges all of his attacks and continues to land blows on him, but he kicks dirt into Chu's eyes, so he takes out his eye drops, but Wong kicks them away. He manages to push Chu back, but he grabs the eye drops and puts them in his eyes, while he continues to fight. Wong smashes him through the floor, but after he gets his vision back, he puts a talisman on Wong's chest and blows him back. He attacks Wong with his puppet, which bombards him with energy blasts, but he dodges all of them and kicks it away. Chu appears behind him and punches his stomach, causing him to cough up blood, but he grabs onto Chu's hair. He tries his best to get away, but Wong uses his full power to punch him and sends him crashing through some barrels. He thinks the fight is over, but Chu gets back up, and he's impressed that his defensive talisman was used up by a single punch. His hair turns white, and as the talismans on his body explode, he notes that anyone who sees him in this form needs to be eliminated. He rushes towards Wong and starts beating him up, and he puts talismans on his body before blowing him back, but he manages to stop himself from falling off the building. Chu attacks him with the puppet's energy blasts, and as Wong grabs onto it, Chu uses it to throw him around the building and into a wall. Chu activates his talismans to weigh him down, and he mentions that one of them costs 700,000, and he uses another talisman to blow him up. He thinks the fight is over, but as the dust settles, he's shocked to see that Wong is completely fine thanks to his shovel. Chu starts losing his mind, and he uses the puppet to attack Wong, but he easily takes it out. He uses the puppet's string to pull Chu towards him, and he finishes him off with a devastating barrage. The string finally breaks, and Chu is defeated, but Wong reaches his limit. Yua tells Luo to escape, but he refuses to leave, and he knows that Yua protects him because he's from the Yen family. So if he dies a pathetic death, he'll bring shame to their family's name. He notes that he still has a trump card that will change the outcome of the fight, and he mentions that he's been waiting for a chance to get revenge, so he won't let it go that easily. Meanwhile, Chu jumps out of the building and tries using a talisman to blow up the puppet, but he's shocked as nothing happens. Wong jumps out as well, and Chu uses the explosion talismans to attack him, but he dodges them by grabbing onto a crane. He crashes into a pole, and Chu uses talismans on the falling debris to make them float. He stands on one of them and launches the rest at Wong, who struggles to dodge them. Two of them explode, and Wong manages to survive, but Chu attacks him again, and he gets caught in the explosion. But he immediately recovers, and he attacks Chu with his burning fists. They crash to the ground, and we see that Wong is in terrible condition, but as he looks around, he realizes that Chu was able to escape. Wong goes back into the building, where he runs into Huan, and he tells him where Shen is. He frees her, but she tells him to run away, because her chair is rigged with a bomb, which will explode if she stands up. Luo traps them in the room, revealing that it has been reinforced by Chu's powers, so he's confident that they can't escape. Wong puts the bomb inside the cube, but when it explodes, it still hurts him. Luo wonders why there was no explosion, and he sees that Shen is still alive, so he pulls out his gun and shoots her. After he leaves, Wong promises Shen he'll save her, but Jin suddenly arrives and takes her away, telling Wong he can't even save himself. He notes that Wong doesn't know anything about the superhuman world, so he plans to take care of the situation, since everything happened because of him. After that, Wong falls into despair, because Shen is gone, and the cube isn't responding. He wonders how he can get her back, but he thinks he's too weak to do anything. A woman suddenly appears, and tells him she has information about Luo, but she tells him to come with her if he wants to find out. They head to a cafe, where the woman asks Wong why paranormal beings aren't exposed to the public. He thinks it's because they're good at disguising themselves, but she reveals that people are covering them up. She notes that she's been protecting him in secret, but he doesn't believe her, asking her to explain why there are 3 men watching him from behind. They prepare to take out their guns, but he tells them to stop, telling her they can continue their discussion because he's interested in Luo. So she orders the men to back down, and he sees her ID, so he realizes that her name is Yuan, and she's in charge of managing superhumans. He asks her what they want from him, so she tells him they need his help to complete 3 missions, promising to tell him where he can find Luo if he completes them. So he promises to complete one of them, but she must also give him information about Jin, and she tells him it's a deal. She gives him the mission, telling him to be a bodyguard, and he'll receive 50,000 as a reward. She reveals that he needs to pass an assessment first, to see if he's qualified for the role, and she leaves with her men. He isn't sure if he can trust her, but he thinks he can't save Shen if he doesn't accept the job, and he believes Yuan was lying to him, but he knows she can provide him with intel. We see Yuan with a man named Liang, who wonders why she made a deal with Wong, because he's dangerous. She explains that they need to take risks to make progress, and she reveals that she looked into him, so she knows that he's innocent. We see the cube on top of their car, and Wong is inside it listening to them, as Liang wonders if Yuan will tell him about Luo. He knows that it's sensitive information, so they can't share it with anyone, but she tells him not to worry, saying they can just give him low-level intel, because he's completely clueless. So he realizes they're planning to take advantage of him, but he knows that he needs to work with them, because they're the only ones who can give him the intel he needs. The next day, Wong heads to a mansion, where he sees people preparing for the assessment. A man named Zhu greets them, and tells them he'll be overseeing their test. He takes them to a room, where their discernment will be tested, and we see that it's like a casino. He explains that each candidate will start with 5 chips, and he notes that they can play anything they want, but they aren't allowed to steal or use violence. He reveals that they must have 10 chips to pass the test, and they think it will be easy. But the candidates start failing the test, and one of them notes that they can't trust the machines, because they're probably rigged. He tells Wong he has a plan, but he just walks away, so the man starts looking for a new target. Wong sees a girl telling the candidates to find a coin, but the man suddenly appears, and challenges him to play the game. Wong wonders what he's up to, and the man asks him if he's scared, but he goes all in, so the man follows suit. The game begins, as the girl puts the coin inside one of the cups, and she shuffles them with incredible speed. She tells them to place their bets, so the man picks one of the cups, but Wong uses his detection to find the coin, and tells her it's in her right hand. She mentions that her right hand is empty, but he knows that she swapped it to her other hand, so he tells her to stop using tricks. She congratulates him for winning the game, and the man can't believe it, thinking she used 2 coins and hid one of them under the table. So he looks around the table, but she explains that it isn't rigged, telling him she only used 1 coin. After that, we learn that the assessment is over, and Wong passed all the tests, so he joins the other successful candidates. Zhu congratulates everyone on passing, and introduces them to their boss Piao, who tells them they've earned the chance to become his bodyguards. He reveals that they'll be attending a banquet tonight, and tells them to do their best, promising to give them a bonus if they perform well. He tells Zhu to take care of everything before taking his leave, and Zhu tells everyone that Piao has already paid them in advance. He reveals that the daily wage is 3 million, and Wang is shocked hearing this. So Zhu realizes that he knows nothing, revealing that his agent Yuan has confirmed the payment. But he knows that he'll only receive 50,000 for completing the mission, so he realizes he got scammed. After that, Wang rides in a car, where a girl named Jasmine gives him confidential information about the banquet. She reveals that it involves 7 missions, and one of them is the auction, where Piao wants to get the ancient mask. She explains that their mission is to help him acquire it, but Wang asks her about a crystal, so she reveals that it's one of the auction items called the obsidian essence. He recalls that the cube mentioned it when he was injured, so he thinks he can use it to get stronger. She tells him to memorize everything before they arrive, and he notes that he wants to get valuable items at the banquet. That evening, the guests gather for the banquet, and the host D mentions that they'll skip the opening speech and begin the auction. He notes that they'll begin with a warm-up game and shows everyone a giant crocodile, so they freak out, but he tells them not to panic because it can't harm them, revealing that they're protected by bulletproof glass. The guests think he's impatient because he started things off with a monster, but he tells them not to worry, telling them there are plenty of other things in store for them. He explains the rules of the game, revealing that there's a golden bell attached around the croc's neck, and the only way to win is to remove it. He notes that the warrior who wins the game will receive gold as a reward, but once they enter the cage, they can't leave until they get the bell. The first challenger enters the cage, and he lunges at the crocodile, but it suddenly eats him alive. The guests think he was weak, but Wang knows that he was a capable fighter, and D notes that the beast has been modified, so it's stronger than an ordinary croc. He increases the reward by 30% and asks them who will volunteer to fight next. A warrior named Hao mentions that he has seen how the croc fights, so he knows how to defeat it. He enters the cage with throwing spears, but Wang wonders why he volunteered to fight it. So a man realizes he didn't read the contract, because it mentioned that if no one volunteers, someone will be randomly forced to fight. Wang thinks it's ridiculous, but the man tells him it's why they're being paid 3 million for the night. He can't believe he accepted the job for 50,000, but he sees the overseer, and he freaks out as the man looks at him. The man he was talking to tells him not to stare, because the overseer is from the banquet committee, and his job is to maintain order. The guests note that Hao is doing well, and we see that he was able to hit the crocodile several times. He's confident that he can win the fight, and he jumps around the cage as he dodges its attacks, but Wang thinks he's doomed, because his spears don't affect the crocodile, and he suddenly gets taken out. D notes that the show is getting interesting, and he mentions that the reward has increased by another 30%, wondering who can defeat the beast. A man named Modi volunteers to fight for his boss Sanmu, but another man called Gold Poison mentions that he wants to join in. So they prepare to fight, and Wang has no idea what's happening, so a girl tells him that they need to kill each other to determine who will enter the cage. He thinks that if Gold Poison wins the fight, he'll be too exhausted to defeat the beast, but a man mentions that Gold Poison is built different. Samu promises to reward Modi if he wins the match, but Gold Poison suddenly bites him and drinks his blood. He tells Samu to give him the benefits instead, because Modi won't be able to enjoy them, and the man reveals that Gold Poison boosts his combat power by drinking blood. The man explains that the power he gains depends on the strength of his target, but he will become afraid of cold and light after the effect wears off. He enters the cage, and the guests wonder why he doesn't have a weapon, so he explains that he doesn't need it. They think he's insane, and the crocodile prepares to eat him, but he suddenly jumps on top of it and slices off its head. He takes the bell, and he mentions that he showed it mercy by giving it a quick death. D congratulates him for winning the game, but the guests wonder if the show is over, so he tells them it's only beginning, and he shows them the next beast, explaining that it's his company's ultimate masterpiece, which was created by combining the agility of cats with the strength of a bear. But Wang worries as he sees it, and he gets a feeling that something bad is about to happen. D mentions that it's extremely cruel, telling everyone that it slaughters everyone around it, and he asks if anyone wants to challenge it. He shows them the reward for defeating it, but Wang can sense that someone's trying to cause trouble for the organizers, thinking it's someone from his team. One of the warriors challenges it, but it dodges his attack and starts trying to escape, so everyone runs away, thinking they're in danger. D assures them they're safe, but it manages to crack the glass, and the man tries to strike it down, but it kills him in a single hit. It takes his sword, and continues to attack the glass, as Wang recalls that Gold Poison secretly spread a powder before fighting the crocodile, thinking it's what's causing the beast to go berserk. The glass shatters, and the beast lunges at D, but the overseer protects him, and Piao wonders what's happening. But Wang knows that their group caused the chaos, and he thinks it's his chance to get the items he wants, so he tries to slip away while everyone's distracted. But a man tells everyone to return to their positions because the order keepers will deal with the beast. One of them, named Shimin, knocks out the beast with a single blow, and they tell everyone to relax because the problem has been solved. Wong realizes that someone from his team is missing, and we see two guards walking around the mansion when the light suddenly goes off. They think there's an electrical problem, so they look around the mansion, but the girl from Wong's group, Mumu, suddenly knocks them out. She sees a surveillance camera, so she activates her switch to jam it, and she heads deeper into the mansion. She wears a glove, which allows her to access the treasure vault, but as she prepares to enter, there's a man that gets in her way. She tries to fight him with her sword, but he blocks her attacks, and he slices away her cap. The guards appear behind her, and she easily takes them down, but the man attacks her from behind, telling her she's open. But Wong suddenly grabs him and knocks him out, calling him a level C loser. She wonders if Wong is her enemy, but he notes that he's her bodyguard, telling her he knows that she's the real employer and that her secret mission is to sneak into the mansion. She asks him how he found out, so he explains that her position in the group gave her away because Piao seemed to be protecting her. She notes that the area has been sealed and that the order keepers will arrive in 2 minutes, so he tells her they need to hurry. They enter the vault, and she wonders where D is hiding his treasure, so Wong mentions that he can help her find it, but the order keepers suddenly arrive and open fire. Their leader, Mei, throws a flash grenade, but Wong manages to deflect it, and it blinds the order keepers. He runs away with Mumu, but the order keepers surround them, and their leader attacks her, while the others gang up on Wong, and Shimin smashes him into the wall. Mumu is also knocked down, and Wong mentions that it's unfair, since it's 3 against 2. They prepare to finish him off, but he tells them they're going to die together, and he reveals a grenade. They brace themselves for the explosion, but they realize it's just a toy, and Wong takes the chance to run with Mumu. They hide in a storage area, where Mumu wonders why he didn't abandon her, so he reveals that he still needs information on Jin and Luo. He knows they can't stay there, because the order keepers will find them soon, but he tells her he has a plan. We see the order keepers in a hallway, and Wong reveals himself, so they wonder why he isn't with Mumu. He tells them he decided to fight them alone, because she would just hold him back, and the order keeper Suga goes to look for her. Mei and Shimin prepare to fight Wong, but Mumu suddenly attacks from above, and starts fighting with Mei. Shimin is about to attack her, but Wong knocks him out, and Mumu manages to defeat Mei. Wong breaks through a wall, and they find the treasures in a hidden room, where Wong sees the obsidian essence he's looking for. Mumu takes an ancient scroll, and they use an elevator to reach the lowest floor, where they plan to escape through the sewers. When the order keepers regain consciousness, Mei realizes she was reckless, but their master suddenly arrives and tells them to eat pills that he brought for them. We see a group of guards waiting for Mumu to come out of the elevator, and Wong wonders why they don't go straight to the last floor, so she explains that she needs to do something before they leave. She sees a camera watching them, so she disrupts it and tells Wong to stand aside. The guards open fire as the elevator opens, but she instantly cuts them down and tells Wong they need to act fast. She shows him the floor plan and tells him where they need to go, telling him they can escape to the sewers after they're done. As they run around the floor, they see a trail of blood that leads to a door, and Wong thinks they should stay away from it. But Mumu uses her glove to open it and tells him she needs to take care of something. She reveals that it's a research lab, and he wonders why she took them there instead of escaping, but she tells him just to do his job as her bodyguard. He sees strange creatures in the lab and wonders what they're doing there, so she reveals that the researchers are trying to create the strongest biological weapons. She notes that the scientists believe they can transform lives, but they ignore the risks and hidden dangers of their research, so she thinks they're evil. One of the scientists sees them, but she mentions that the professor is waiting for her, and she tells him that Mumu has arrived. So he orders the woman to transfer his set of data into the computer, and Mumu asks him about the gene therapy drug he promised her. But he reminds her about their deal, telling her she needs to give him the treasure from the vault before he can give it to her. But she wants him to prove that his drug is effective, so he tells her about the Order Keepers, revealing that he enhanced their physical abilities through his research. He mentions that his gene hybridization experiment has shown amazing results, but Dee ordered him to stop it since he wanted to create biological weapons for the military instead. He reveals that he doesn't enjoy studying animals, so he prefers to experiment on humans, and he thinks there's nothing wrong with it, because sacrifices are necessary to achieve greatness. He thinks he's close to solving all biological genetic problems, but Mumu suddenly threatens him, asking him if he has the drug that can save her grandfather. But he says he doesn't have it, telling her to give him the treasure so that he can secure funding to continue his research. But she beats him up, telling him he deserves to die, so his assistant threatens to shoot her if she doesn't stop. She mentions that Mumu will never understand what they can achieve with their research, but she knocks her down, telling her their methods are questionable. She thinks they're just like D, because they're all monsters, and she notes that the lab shouldn't exist, telling Wong to help her destroy it. But he suddenly gets absorbed into the cube, and she wonders where he went, but she decides to continue on her own. The cube mentions they haven't talked in a long time, but it reveals that the system was rebooted after it was upgraded, since he absorbed the obsidian essence, which also improved all of his skills. Mumu frees the monsters in the lab, and we see the Order Keepers looking for her, but they suddenly get attacked by flying creatures. Suga uses his flames to burn them, and Mei knows that they came from the lab, wondering how they were able to escape. Suga mentions that he'll lead the way, but a monster suddenly appears above him, and it eats him alive. The guards open fire, but the creature lunges at them, and it's about to eat one of the men, but Mei pulls it away, and Shimin is able to take it out. We see Mumu running around the facility, but she's surprised to see a dead end, and the Order Keepers catch up to her. Mei attacks with her whip, but Mumu manages to close the distance, so Mei pushes her back, and uses her whip to paralyze her. Shimin blows her away, and Mei notes that they can't leave, because they've taken their pills. She reveals that the professor kidnapped them when they were kids, and turned them into his test subjects, so they struggle to survive. But Mumu tells them they're evil, since they've killed countless people with their powers, so she thinks they deserve to die. Shimin prepares to finish her off, but he suddenly gets knocked out, and everyone's surprised to see Wong, who realizes that he made it just in time. Mumu tells him she almost died, but Mei realizes that there are monsters behind her, and Wong teleports away with Mumu. They reach the sewers, and she wonders what he just did, but he tells her it's a trade secret. She wears her diving equipment, and prepares to escape, but the master of the Order Keepers suddenly appears, and the cube mentions that his combat power is extremely high. Mumu recognizes him as an assassin named Laika, and Wong wonders why he wasn't able to detect his presence, so the cube notes that it's because Laika is far stronger than him. He reveals that he was supposed to go abroad, but he learned about Mumu's plan, so he decided to stay there, but he's disappointed seeing how weak they are. He tells Mumu he can make her one of his subordinates, but Wong stops him and tries to stab his arm, but he realizes that it's made of iron. It transforms into an axe, and Laika uses it to attack Wong, who struggles to defend himself. Mumu hits Laika from behind, but it doesn't work, as she realizes that he can bend his arm joints in reverse. Wong manages to land a kick, but Laika grabs onto his leg and smashes him into the ground. Mumu tries to launch another attack, but he dodges it, and Wong hits him while he's distracted, managing to scratch his face. Laika admits that he underestimated them, and Wong wants to use his new skill to transfer gem energy onto his weapon. But the cube reveals that his knife might explode if it fails, and the system's other functions won't be available while it's working on it, but he decides to do it anyway. Laika suddenly lands a hit on him, causing him to cough up blood. So Mumu tries to help him, but Laika easily disarms her and knocks her down, wondering why Wong isn't using his techniques to fight him. He throws a grenade, which explodes in Laika's hand, and they try to escape, but he immediately catches up to them. Wong tries to stop him, but Laika easily takes him down and throws Mumu away. Wong gets back up, so Laika continues to beat him, telling him he should give up, and he asks the system if the merge is complete, but it tells him he still needs to wait for over a minute. Laika starts choking him, and threatens to cut his body into pieces, but Mumu suddenly stabs Laika from behind. She thinks the fight is over, so she rushes to help Wong, but the cube tells him that Laika is still alive, so he tells her to watch out. Laika starts attacking her, so she jumps away, but he blasts her with his skill, and he notes that Order Keepers have been enhanced by drugs and technology, so sneak attacks won't work on them. He checks out her sword, realizing it's a B-rank artifact, and he tells her he'll use it to end her life. But the cube tells Wong that the merge is complete, revealing that his knife turned into a rare weapon with ice attributes, so he thinks he finally has a chance. But the cube adds that the merge has failed, so the knife will explode in 20 seconds. He comes up with an idea, so he rushes at Laika and stabs his hand, but he gets blown away. Laika tries to remove the knife, but it suddenly explodes with ice, and Mumu wonders if he's dead. But the cube mentions that his power level is increasing, so Wong tells her to run, and they reach the drain outlet, thinking it's the only way out. He tells her to go ahead, but she refuses to leave him behind, and the cube mentions that his body has reached its limit. He pushes her down, and sees Laika charging at him, realizing he's pissed off. The cube notes that his power is still increasing, and Wong thinks it's all over for him, as Laika destroys everything in his path. But as the dust settles, we see that he's mad since he wasted his transformation technique on Wong, wondering how he was able to escape, and we learn he was able to get away by going into the cube, which he left on Mumu's back. We see Wong walking to school, thinking he still doesn't have the information he's looking for. But he suddenly finds himself in front of Mumu, who asks him why he's spacing out. He recalls that she dragged him out of school, and she asks him if he wants to join the ATC, which is a training center that will help him prepare for the Superhuman World Contest. She notes that she has chosen him as a member of her team, but he refuses to join, telling her he has something important to do. She knows that he wants information about Jin so he can find Shin, and she notes that Jin is skilled at hiding, so he won't be able to find him by himself, telling him to join the contest if he wants her to help him. So he agrees to join her team, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get Shin back. But that's where the